What is going on, YouTube? We are back with another show for you today. Money in the Bank 2010. I'm joined by my co-host Dale. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm great, my friend. I think we're amongst one of the worst heat waves I can remember in the past like 5, 6 years. So I know that you're going through the same exact thing too. It's a hot summer right now. It's so hot that we figured we'd try and cool down with some nice old pay per views that we could watch, sit in the AC, probably have just our boxer briefs on. And
We don't have AC over in England, mate.
so, what do you have? Do you have conventional fans? Do you have cooling units? What do you do? Oh no, we're showing modern technology here too.
I have a little fan. That is it.
Oh, let me tell you something. That is our biggest fan of the show.
And it only does. It only shows. What's his name? It only actually blows hot air around. It doesn't really do much else.
Look, it's our hottest fan too. It's our hottest fan. It's our one largest fan, and we
Oh
thank you
God.
for coming on the show every week. So he's always here, folks. Is it a man or a woman? Is your fan a man or a woman?
Celia, we'll call her.
Ceiling fan.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Anyway, we're going to Money in the Bank 2010. This originated from having several matches of Money in the Bank going on here. And the one
Mm.
thing is that when WWE realizes that they have something good, let's oversaturate it. Uh, so this is what they do. They start the Money in the Bank pay per view, and they have not one, but two Money in the Bank matches here. This is over in Kentucky, I believe, is taking place. It's a good card here. It's interesting. I will give you a little bit of information, though. I kind of stopped watching at this point for a little bit, and I'll go into why that actually happened. But
Hmm.
it was a couple of years prior when I was still going to shows, because we talked about 2008 last week, although it does seem like a year ago. But we're going into 2010, Money in the Bank. You still have the same players a lot, but they're on different venues in the card. Andy, take it away. What's one of your key starting points as far as talking about Money in the Bank right now?
Um, my first thought straight away when I turn this on, when I'm thinking about what we could go down through in the show, was straight away is: do you feel like it should have stayed on WrestleMania?
Either that, or they have it one match, like maybe. You know what? No, let's scratch that because this is what they did here. I would
Mm.
do it on WrestleMania. I would
Yeah.
have no problem with that. That's where it originated from, and it was a highlight of WrestleMania. They tried to kind of substitute that with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which in the first couple of years was cool, but then it's just been relegated to pre-show. Then it was relegated to the SmackDown prior um, to WrestleMania. I don't know. I love the concept of it, though. I think 21 had a fantastic way to introduce us to the Money in the Bank ladder match,
Mm.
introduced by Chris Jericho and kayfabe, and he brings it up here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But off we go. We start off with uh, this is where I really get bothered. They have two of these. You don't need two. I hate the fact
No.
that they have two titles right now. That's debatable amongst a lot of cultures in wrestling lore, I guess you could say. But I do believe that we start off with a nice little match here.
We do. It's the first ever Money in the Bank on the pay per view, and it was the Kane versus Big Show, Christian, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, and Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy got the biggest pop here coming out. It's
Deservedly
one of the
so.
things I noticed straight away. Matt Hardy got the biggest pop coming out.
Crowd loves him. How
Mm.
can you not? He puts in the work. Even with, and we're talking, he's going into his broken era about 6 years from now when he's at TNA. I remember first seeing that image of someone is visible on his face. Okay. I don't know. I guess so. All right, good. Anyway, so we're going into the Money in Bank match itself. Matt Hardy is still a very critical piece of wrestling. that threw me off terribly. So, but anyway, I love Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is
Yeah,
always a favorite. That's somebody that you put in a match always. So he's
yeah.
broken.
One thing that I will say as well is that when they were all coming out and stuff, obviously it's been like 12 years since this pay-per-view. This is the most up-to-date one that we've done so far, isn't it? And I looked at it and I weren't sold on the fact of having two big guys in the match. I always know you have to have one big guy in there, but having Kane and Thingy and Big Show in there straight away kind of threw me off a little bit.
You usually have one big man in these matches, and this is why it ends up being a very big clunker.
I
This is
am
why
daft, mate. I kick puppies as one of my hobbies.
punt the pups sounds like a hashtag. I do believe that having two big men really just doesn't do anything credibility wise for a match. You have Big Show that's in there that's 500 pounds that cannot climb a ladder successfully, which is really funny. But then you also have Kane in there that's kind of taking down opponents left and right here. My big notes for this thing was that you had four guys, okay? You had Matt Hardy, Christian, Big Show, and Kane, all dependable workers, okay? These are guys that you could rest your laurels on. These are guys that you could actually put a match with, and you'll get the best out of an opponent here. All right. Then you have Cody Rhodes. You have Kofi Kingston. You have Dolph Ziggler. Then you have Drew McIntyre. That's the future. We are living in that future right now. That's what we see right now, actually, to this day. And that's the funniest part to me is seeing a young Drew McIntyre with no facial hair in there as the chosen one. And it's we've talked about a little bit. We haven't really discussed Drew McIntyre too much because he doesn't pop up on our podcast. Although I
Yeah.
would love for him to pop up and start talking to us, that'd be fantastic because the guy carried the COVID era of WWE when they put the title on him. He was very entertaining. I love the matches that he had.
Yeah.
He's. I know that they're advertising him heavily right now for Clash at the Castle. It's
Yeah.
so interesting to see 12 years later what he's become. I love Drew. I think. Do you think Drew deserves another spot?
Yes. Yeah. He deserves to get his moment that he never got. That's as
Without
simple
a
as that.
doubt.
He
Yep.
needs to get his moment. He never got his moment. He needs to get it. It was whether it's now or not another matter, but he will need to get it, and he's shown that he can carry it because even through a difficult time in the company, he still carried the company through that.
I'd like to also point out that later on he'll come out too. They really hammered home the fact that they use guys that they could trust. They had Edge, they had Drew McIntyre that earned that right. Especially, not many people beat Brock Lesnar clean. This guy did, and it was good programming working up to it. Even that Royal Rumble, that's the last pay per view I believe before the pandemic shut everything down. Might have been something else, but that was in
I think it
January.
was, yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, because I think they might have split it up a little bit, but they really were driving home the fact that this is a credible competitor for Brock Lesnar, and it worked out very well, if you ask me.
Oh,
During
it
that
really
time,
did.
though, you had Randy Orton too fighting McIntyre at that point. And I always say, whenever your back's against the wall, use your veterans in any sport too. That's why in baseball you have cleanup hitters that they're a little bit aged, but they still know how to play the game and hit. They'll be the first one to pinch hit, and they got a guy like Randy Orton to do that here. But
Yeah.
we
I tell
digress.
you what else I've
2010.
got. I tell you what I've got here on my list as well is the fact of Cody Rhodes. How young does Cody Rhodes look in this match? How young? You know, you kind of realise, like, and it made me think about it, and I've actually wrote on my notes here, because obviously now I'm more technical, I can write on my computer, that Cody Rhodes left WWE at the right time before he come back again. But even at this young age, he's still in a prominent spot.
He did it in a different way. Drew left, built his credibility up. Cody left, built his credibility, and I guess stardom somehow by being a headliner at AEW. And
Ziggler
just
went on to be a champion within the company, same as Kofi.
let me get into Ziggler for a second because he's still dependable. You're still going to have a great match with the guy. When he fought Braun Breaker at NXT 2.0, look at how far we're going into the future now, Andy. And this still reflects. This is 12 years ago, and these are the guys. This company knew damn well that these guys are going to head their company later on in life.
Yeah,
Ziggler, dependable, and I'm going to go out on a limb for this. Kofi Mania was one of the highlights a few years ago.
it was. And that's the thing, fans realise that people put the effort in, and, we're talking, 10 years past to Kofi Mania than what it was here, and, it was really, really good, mate, really, really good. The one thing I will say about this match is the way it was structured. They still structure Money in the Bank matches the same way now as what they did back then. The ladder spot where Drew McIntyre, with Big Show, where they all threw all the ladders on him. What happened this year, Dale?
Omos got buried in ladders as well.
So yeah,
in not to be a little corny here, but he buries himself whenever he tries to wrestle.
yeah. But it just shows you that the formula and the tried and tested version that WWE have, they don't really differentiate from it, do they? They never digress away from it. And even what is it now, 12 years since this pay-per-view, and that same spot with the Giant, they done 2010 at the first one, and in the latest edition, we got it again.
Yeah. Look, it's just the fact that it's just oversaturated. Do you think these are just so overbooked here? I don't know.
No, I like them. I like them because with Money in the Bank is the way they overbook it and stuff like that is, it's like, okay, I'm fine with that because at the end of the day, that's what you know what you're getting when you see a Money in the Bank match, and I'm fine with that. I've always been fine with that. It's the same with a TLC match. You're always going to get some big, massive, crazy bumps and stuff like that. So when I'm getting them type of matches, I'm okay with it because I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm seeing.
Spot. That's what it is.
Yeah,
and
but the thing is, this is where I get annoyed with other wrestlers and stuff like that who do spot in a normal wrestling match.
Yep.
Give WWE the due, they don't do that. In the normal wrestling matches, it's a normal wrestling match. You might get one or two spots, which are fine. But in these type of matches where it's spot, well, that's what you're going to get.
You're expecting that.
You know what I mean? If you stand out in the rain, you're going to get wet. You watch a Money in the Bank ladder match, you're going to get spot. So it's fine to me. That's okay.
And it's easier to do when you have 7 or 8 people in the match because these two could do it. Not that you're waiting, but it's somebody else's time to shine in the match. And then it's these other two that are fighting, like Kofi took out Drew. Then it went to, this is where I really didn't like it, when Big Show pulled out his huge ladder that was a struggle because time stood still when that happened. That took a long time, Andy. But I will say this, it was good. It's like I'm watching Cody Rhodes. No, it's funny we mentioned him. Watching Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara for that terrible title, that TNT title. And do you remember it was just spot? Yeah. All they were doing was the next setup. You can't do that with just 2 people. I'm sorry, you cannot convince me otherwise. Because then you're not selling anything at that point. I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing, that little spot that I did like in this match as well, just before we move on from it, was where the Big Show was going to climb the ladder. He was doing something, and Cody turns around with this little mini step ladder and just goes doof and jabs him in the ankle. And I know it might only be a little thing, but something like that really makes a match for me.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I have my smaller ladder. I'm gonna take down one of the. I'm gonna take down the trunk of the tree.
Yeah, and you don't try and smack him in the head. You go for his ankle and take him down. Perfect.
Yeah. It's it worked for Gulliver's Travels, right?
Yeah. So
anyway,
and David. But
that's right.
Kane gets the win here. Thought it was the right move. don't think anybody else in that match, maybe apart from maybe Matt Hardy, would have benefited, would have been ready to take it on. I wouldn't say benefit because obviously a lot of the young lads could have benefited from it, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Kane was the right move. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
I like the fact that Kane did it. I don't like what happened afterwards, and I'll get into that why. But I like the fact that, and you don't really see this, Kane ended up clearing house one by one, eliminating everybody else. Not eliminating, but really bringing pain and destruction to them. And it was a far gone conclusion at that point. Although Drew, who was incapacitated for, I guess, 20 minutes, ended up coming in, and the crowd does this boo. Think of Miz climbing to the ladder, not yet. Miz climbing the ladder in that Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania, and he's looking around, and then Zack Ryder ends up pushing him off. You're milking the crowd that hates you, and Drew. Not many people really want to fall in line with Drew at that point. Kane took care of him. Kane gets the briefcase. Everybody's like, "Wow, this is real. You have a guy that's a brute force and somebody that for years you didn't really think about." I like the idea. I think it's great. It's just the fact that he took control of the match was just awesome, dude. That I loved.
Yeah, that's it. But as I say, Kane gets the win. Best person out of there. Don't really think there was anyone else. I'm going to give this match a 3 out of 5. Don't think it was anything spectacular. Don't think it was anything bad. I think it was just what you'd expect in a Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah, it's a schmaz. These are hard to grade, though. I
Yeah.
think these are really hard to grade because it's just I like one thing over another that happened in the match. I like the fact that Christian and Matt Hardy ended up teaming together and were kind of
Yeah.
helping each other out with the ladder, especially with their history. The big pile-on with Big Show and then Kane choke slamming Ziggler onto the ladders that were on top of Big Show. That's a nice touch.
Yeah. That's it. As I say, and that's why I went right down the middle, mate, because I just thought, well, it was fine. Do you know what
I
I
think.
mean?
Oh well, I think we're elaborating on it more because we really don't want to get into the next match.
No, we really don't, but let's go there anyway. We've got Alicia Fox defeated Eva Torres by pinfall for the Divas Championship. One thing I'll say about this, Foxy's a good worker, and Eva was good in this match. It was a throwaway match, but if you actually look at the wrestling in the match, they done okay.
You could tell they trained.
Yeah.
You could tell that Alicia Fox at that point was just like, all right, well, I won this title by default because I didn't pin Eve Torres. I shoved somebody out of the way at the last pay-per-view and picked up the win by pinning somebody. That, told a story right there. But, Alicia Fox tried. Eve Torres tried. My notes here is, wow, women's wrestling during this decade was just abysmal.
Yeah, I've got a thing here saying the poor women in here because there's actually some really talented people in this division at the time. The likes of Torres, Alicia Fox, Michelle McCool, all solid wrestlers who probably would have really thrived in today's environment, but back then they were just always an afterthought, which was really sad.
Yeah, I said that these girls really tried, and these botches were occurring weekly on other programs by people who want to be wrestlers full time. These people do not.
No.
It's clear because Eve was a backstage commentator, if I recall.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
I think we saw her in the 2008 Great American Bash last week. Another note I actually have here, though, is Matt Striker's really good on commentary.
Do you know what? I turned around and I've got a note here. You just literally reminded me on that. Was Matt Striker reminds me of Pat McAfee.
Yeah, but he's more on a heel side. That's what I like about him. I thought Stryker, you could tell that there's a reason why Conan used him for AAA. I do believe that he was also on the SmackDown commentating team too. I think he did. I think he really is a underrated commentator.
There's one thing I've got here of a comment he makes when he turns around to Jerry the King Lawler and says, the Divas are always banging your door down. Be it that it's on the inside with them trying to get out, but at least they're still banging on your door.
Yeah, Jerry. I think Jerry definitely gave him a little nudge in the shoulder, like that was okay.
Yeah, that was a good one because that was really good.
But Jerry Lawler the whole time was promoting Slurpee cups, and
Mm,
that got me thinking. I really would like a Slurpee. Andy, do you have 7-Elevens by you?
no.
What do you guys have as far as the staple convenience store with a slushy drink?
Slush puppies are normally the one.
You guys still have slush puppies, huh? So
Or
you get them.
Tango Ice Blasts.
What's a Tango Ice Blast, and where do you get those from? That sounds good.
Oh, yeah, it's nice. It's good.
Where
You
do you
never
get
heard
that
of
from?
Tango the drink? You just get it from the local shops or the cinema. You never
Oh,
heard of
so
Tango?
I mean, I could do the tango.
Oh God, Tango Orange.
I can't do the tango, by the way. That was the extent of my dancing. The fact that we have it recorded is fucking awful.
But no, it's yeah, I like my slushies. But let's move on anyway. We've got the Hart Dynasty versus a very young Jimmy and Jey Uso with Tamina. First thing I've got on this is why did WWE insist during this era on trying to push the Usos as being a Samoa's dynasty with Jimmy Snuka? Not once did they mention their dad.
The only thing I could think of is falling out with Rikishi at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And also I've put down question mark Yokozuna's not even in this conversation.
I don't know why they really. That's another reason why I stopped watching for a little bit at this point, because it's almost like they really wanted to get rid of that past 15
Mm,
years of history. So they don't talk about Yokozuna, you don't talk about Rikishi, but it's okay. Let's talk about Jimmy Snuka, who's a murdering, yeah, he's a murdering
yeah,
bastard. I don't get that, and they have to sit there. Hello there, sir,
yeah. Good morning, Matty.
Maddie. What the hell are you doing up, man? Jesus. So you have Jimmy Snuka as being a topic of conversation all the time. And meanwhile, the guy killed somebody in a hotel room, was a massive cokehead. Oh, but it's okay though. He jumped off the top of a steel cage onto, oh god.
Morocco, wasn't it?
Yeah, on Don Morocco. You know, and Mick Foley was there. So we have to talk about that how many times during the year. Well, I hope your shift goes well, my friend. And we're going to
Yeah.
do a shout out. We're going to talk about the next match for you afterwards. But I will say, not the Hart Dynasty one. I love this match. I'll tell you why. You had the future of the Usos. Look at how far they've come along. They
Yeah.
could actually
Yeah.
grow good facial hair. They don't need Tamina in there. They're part of the bloodline. I will say one thing that I don't get. They're the World Tag Team Champions, right?
hmm
Why are you using them as like fodder henchmen
Back at this time, you mean? Oh, nowadays it
now?
just fits in. It just fits in with the storyline, doesn't it?
I don't think so. Let me let me explain this to you. Okay, it's
Hmm.
almost like I'd be okay if he had the headbangers as henchmen and he teamed with them.
No,
If you're
no,
get,
no. The whole bloodline thing and the fact that they're legitimately related and stuff, it all plays in nicely.
I get it, but don't have them as henchmen that would take a pin if your team loses.
Hmm. That's maybe why they've got Sami Zayn there. No.
That's yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I love when he wears the
But
bloodline
back to
shirt.
this match. One thing that I said as well is, which I really, really liked on this match was there was a bit where I think it was Tyson Kidd has older Jimmy, and Jimmy like he goes to put him into a move, and just as he does, there's a little tag and a move. You know, even then they still had really good ring awareness, and they were getting there, wasn't they, with everything?
Why do you think that is too? Where do you think they actually realize I have ring awareness and I know what the hell I'm doing
Probably when they were little kids, when they were taught properly.
in the dungeon?
No, sorry, not the dynasty, the Usos. There's a bit where
Oh yeah.
Tyson Kidd goes to do a move on Jimmy, and just as he flips him, just a little tag and then a flip over. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? It was
Okay.
yeah.
I'm thinking of later on when they do the hot tag too.
Yeah, I know.
They
But this
had this.
match was all right. It's just
I
the only
loved
thing
it.
I didn't like is I didn't like that. As much as I don't like Natalia, she looked good here. She looked like part of it, and I
Hmm.
thought she actually brought something to it, which was good.
I don't understand why this company can't. or never figured out like a prominent place on the card for David Hart Smith.
100%. And the thing that they always go on about him is most of the time is Bret Hart's nephew rather than British Bulldog's son.
Again, there it is right there. And they bring up, this is what I'm saying. They just totally forgot about 15 years prior. And they brought up Bret because Bret faced Vince right around then at a WrestleMania 2. And he did his comeback tour. This is what I didn't like. They just totally forgot about their history. And this is why I stopped watching for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that, go ahead.
No, go on.
My whole thing is the fact that they played into this whole gimmick of, oh, is David Hart Smith really is he focused and stuff like that? Well, you couldn't tell that was a storyline here. He got the hot tag, kicked some ass, and the similarities between him and his dad and his mom too is so funny. Just melded in there.
Yeah.
I love him though, and I like the fact that he's with NWA now, still doing this and still being,
he's a legitimate shooter as well, isn't he? He's really good.
Troop would work with him. He was saying that he sparred with him a lot.
Yeah, so he's good. It seems like he's a good lad. One thing here, though, we go to the finish, and I was annoyed here because, again, David Hart Smith finishes with the sharpshooter. Why did he not use the running power slam? He's a big lad. It's his dad's move. Again,
it's a high impact move. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But, again, forgetting about history. And I'm sorry, but when was the last time you hyphenated a man's name for wrestling?
I know.
That's what I'm talking about. Why don't you just
say the other thing
Smith?
Is he wasn't David Hart Smith anyway. He was David Smith. That's what he always was.
His mom didn't. I don't even think she kept her last name.
No.
This is what Smith, this is what really frustrates me about this, because it's like, go with the British Bulldog. Don't say, hey, he's related to Bret Hart. Go with his dad. People remember his dad. Wait. Oh, yeah. Come on, idiots.
Right, well, we'll move on. So the Hart Dynasty get the win here anyway with David Hart with the sharpshooter. Everyone's happy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Rey Mysterio versus Jack Swagger. Just before we got into this match, we had a promo from Jack Swagger, and his promos in 2010 sucked just as much as his promos in 2022.
I think of him as Lenny from Mice and Men. I do believe, I don't know what he's done to get on Chris Jericho's good side for him to tag along with how many stables. Chris Jericho has not turned on Jake Hager at all, or Jack Swagger. I don't want to hear about, do you remember the promo they did when they said "we the people" in the crowd at AEW, and he says that's by bad writing or lazy creative, by bad creative, they said about Jack Swagger?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. You mean to tell me that nobody came out there when Zeb Coulter, aka Dutch Mantel, was heading Jack Swagger, and they liked the fact that the real American stood for Americans? That might not translate, no pun intended, to you, but
no, I get it though. I get it.
I don't understand.
And also, I think it's the fact that we had him that all he had to do was say 3 words, which was more than enough and probably more palatable for him.
Well, if you see this phone interview, it's got to be on YouTube somewhere. He pretends to call up his mother and plead with her about how his dad was not that important, so he fed him to Kane. Kane is upset. This was on the past SmackDown. Kane was upset because he thought that Jack Swagger and Cody Rhodes put a hit on Undertaker, so he came after Jack Swagger. Swagger fed his dad to him after he's saying, hey, I'm pleading here, blah, blah, blah. Jack Swagger's dad ends up getting chokeslammed. Then Tombstone pile driver. Jack Swagger's just watching and just turned his back on there. So his mom called him up during the pay-per-view. If she was that concerned, she would have called him up right away after the match. But anyway, or right after SmackDown. So he does this solo promo where he's on the phone telling his mom that dad's always been bad. Why is this on TV?
Don't know.
We don't need to introduce the mom unless it's Shelton Benjamin's mom. We don't need to. If you're going to be an on-screen character, don't all of a sudden call up the mom.
No.
If the mom showed up the next Friday on SmackDown, it would make sense
Mm-hmm.
in a way. But just
Yeah.
really bad. Kane's on the
No.
warpath too because he's like, "Who did this to my brother?" Blah blah blah.
But the match was all right. Rey Mysterio done really well in this match. He kept selling that leg throughout. Swagger played his part. He always was okay in the ring, but it was always just the outside that was the real issue with me. But I like the way as well where he goes to get the ankle lock in. Rey Mysterio whips the boot off. 619 later. Oh no, he doesn't do the 619, does he? Gets him in a Hurricane Rana into a roll up. 1, 2, 3. Ray retains. Now
Yep.
this is where it gets stupid.
Oh, well, I'd like to say this is probably peak Jack Swagger here. Not saying much, but at least he's credible in the ring.
Yeah.
At least he knows what he's doing in the ring here a little bit because he has that guidance. It's not just, all right, go do your Bellator and then come wrestle a match and lose and job out, which is not convincing anybody. It sure as
No.
hell isn't doing anything for his career now. But I do think that it told us. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, go on.
Well, I'm just saying it told a story that he got pissed off after the match and started beating up Ray a little bit more.
The thing that I didn't like though, and this is where is when Kane comes out to beat up Swagger. Right, he just comes out on a whim, which is fine. He beats Swagger, goes to the back. Ray's music starts playing, and then next minute Kane's kicks in, and it's like I just didn't get the whole. Well, he's only just been here. He's only just come back. It was just messy for me. I've got no problem with Kane winning the title. It was just the whole way that he just. Do you know what I mean? It just looked all over the place for me.
This is a theme. You ready for this whole match and schmaz? I wrote here, why is this happening? I said, okay, so Rey Mysterio hurt, wins match, vulnerable champion enough, right? Swagger starts beating up Rey. Kane comes out because he's upset with his brother. Kane just won the Money in the Bank not too long ago. Stops the guy from hitting Rey Mysterio to beat him up any further. Gets him to the back. Kane then says, you know what? This is a good opportunity for me to cash in my briefcase. Then the music plays, comes out with the ref. Crowd is hushed at this point, which I understand the surprise, but the logistics are so fucked here.
Yeah, I mean, if I've wrote down here, if this was me booking it, I would have had Swagger go over Rey Mysterio and then Kane come out and finish him off. Because Kane is such a monster, he doesn't need to be going against a vulnerable person.
I also think that this is when you could have had another person in part of this storyline to help out with beating up Swagger to get him out of the ring. Because you could put that whole Undertaker being injured on hold because that's not needed for this story right here.
No.
You're intertwining a lot of different storylines, and then it's like, oh, look at that. I might as well cash in and become champion. This was so stupid. Like, I was just like really bothered by this whole thing.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I was the same. But anyway, Kane defeats Ray, wins the championship, and we move on.
Like I said, I stopped watching during this time because Jack Swagger what made you stop?
Just because I just thought a lot of it was just all over the place.
Yeah. If I rehash it, I remember watching, I'd be like, who's Kazarni? Who's this pirate? And it was like Paul Burchill, and I'm like, wait, he bangs his cousin or his sister?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not
together, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mae Young giving birth to a hand is one thing, but to do an incest angle is just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Off-putting.
But then we had like Cool with the double championships and all. This was another thing that was nonsense back then as well. Defeated Kelly by pinfall. Yeah, don't really have much to say about this, mate. Do you want to say anything about it?
Just a couple of things, like you're going around calling people Smelly Kelly, and then And then even Natalia had a gimmick where she farted. This is why am I going to watch this? This is not funny. This is kid humor, and this is Vince humor. I guess that might change now, right?
Potentially, we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
The one thing, my one note on this was thank God for Becky Lynch.
Yeah, yeah. She changed it all around, didn't she?
She
Well,
did.
yeah. I didn't like this double champion crap, but well, that's another matter. Anyway, we've got the next Money in the Bank. We've got The Miz, Edge, Evan Bourne, John Morrison, Mark Henry, Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase, and the inventor of Money in the Bank, Chris Jericho. And I liked the way on Chris's way out that he got the nod as being the inventor of Money in the Bank.
Good. Good. This is when he's doing the pompous "I'm better than everybody" shtick, which he's right. So it's not really a
Yeah.
shtick. We talked about it last week for Great American Bash when he faced Shawn Michaels. Put the guy in there. You will not only be safe, but you will be able to see a worker that will elevate the talent around him. Not that Shawn Michaels needed it. Maybe 2 or 3 people in this match needed it. I don't know. I mean, are you going to elevate Randy Orton?
Nope.
Are you going to elevate Edge?
Nope.
Like, these are guys that it's just like you're going to be safe
But
with them.
Evan Bourne, John Morrison, maybe could have done with a Ted DiBiase Jr. See Ted DiBiase Jr. with Maurice here as well. Weird, isn't it?
I was watching Maurice come out, and then Miz was introduced, I think, a person prior, and he didn't even pay her any mind. And my, have the tides have turned. Wasn't she just a great valet?
Yeah.
Still is. I like
Yeah.
the role she's in. I don't really watch Ms. and Mrs. If it's on, I laugh because of just how it's not too slapstick. I think it's more for reality TV. It's more
Yeah, I like.
natural.
Do you know one thing I'll say is I like the Miz. I always have done.
Yeah,
Think he's a
yeah.
solid company guy.
We discussed his promo skills last week. We said that this guy can go on the mic and he's able to do it and he's able to announce. Like, he's just awesome.
Yeah, and you can pop him in anywhere as well. You know what I mean? You can have him in the main event scene. You can pop him in the middle scene. You can use him as a kind of mediator between two people. You can put him anywhere, and he'll always do well.
He's a company guy,
Yeah,
like you said. And this whole Logan Paul thing that's going on right now, brilliant.
yeah,
When we watch WrestleMania, okay, for the past couple of years, when you have these celebrities, you and I talked about Johnny Knoxville going in there against Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn literally just said on Steve Austin's podcast, "This is my favorite match ever because it was comedy wrestling, but we made the crowd pop." He's absolutely right. Logan Paul teamed up with The Miz. That was a great match. Just because Logan Paul took to it, and you could tell loves this.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's one for you. Bad Bunny a couple of years ago. That was great because the guy wasn't asked to do much. Okay. But
No,
what I'm getting at is the Miz was involved in a lot of these, and
yeah.
he's able to transcend people from the celebrity world into wrestling world by asking questions and getting on their gourd, and he's a team player. One of the other things that I want to talk about with this match, not to get too much into the Miz, because we're not Miz marks, but we appreciate what he does, and we do like
Yeah.
the dude. Evan Bourne was incredible.
Yeah,
Evan Bourne, Matt Sydal was fucking awesome in this match. Okay, bounced around for everybody, was too quick, but made sure that he was in the right place at the right time. I even said it today, or I've been saying it for the past year or so. If Tony Khan brings a wrestler in here, there was a couple into AEW. The best things that he's done to introduce them, you have a match with Frankie Kazarian or Christopher Daniels, or you have a match with Evan Bourne. Now,
Yeah.
Evan Bourne's a little fast-paced for some people, but the guy's able to go.
yeah. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. Even John Morrison in this match was great as well. I thought this match was better than the first Money in the Bank. than the one previous on this card. I thought this was much better. I liked Randy Orton's little RKO off the ladder on Jericho. One thing I'll say though is, and I don't like, I'm not trying to fat shame anybody or say anything, but Jericho's in much better shape now than what he was then.
Yeah, yeah.
He must have
I'm
been
not.
going through a phase or whatever, because he wasn't really in great shape at that point, was he?
I know that he had. I don't want to talk about it too much, but was he addicted to anything?
I don't know.
Maybe drinking. I don't know. I know
Yeah,
that,
maybe.
but
And
okay.
then this is another match you look at and you think to yourselves, okay, like if you look at over the two Money in the Banks, you've got Big Show, Christian, Kofi, Matt Hardy, all solid wrestlers on the veteran side of it. Same with Jericho, Edge, Morrison, Mark Henry, Randy Orton. Now, if you look at the ones that were up and coming in this match, who actually went somewhere, you've got Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes, The Miz, John Morrison to an extent. The only one that didn't ever get anywhere, and I don't understand why, is Ted DiBiase Jr. He was probably, if you would have went back to me then and said which one do you think will go furthest, I probably would have said him, but he
He was
didn't.
he was introduced by his father one night on Raw. I think it might have been on Raw after Mania. Comes out, Ted. If you haven't heard that music in forever, says, "Here's my son." Grabs the mic from his dad. He goes, "Thanks, Dad," and on his way has a million
Yeah,
dollar championship. It's anointed. Excuse me, anointed. Uh, we as wrestling fans, now, I'm not going to call ourselves historians. We just go into history. We appreciate the $1 million title. It's been quite some time, Andy, since we've done anything like early '90s, but we always loved watching Ted DiBiase just in WWF programming.
yeah,
And that title to us means something. We talked about Virgil with hitting Ted with it. Um, we love, you and I are huge fans of Cameron Grimes.
yeah.
Cameron Grimes had that program with, I believe, LA Knight, who I hope has a job, or Max Dupree, uh, about the $1 million title. And he won it, but then won a fake one because Ted always wins.
Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, I just don't get what happened with him. Why
Yeah.
he just had a big fall from grace, didn't he?
I think it would have been better if he was in Legacy with Cody, with Randy, and they had David Smith in there. I don't know
I
why
don't
that
know
never happened.
what's going on with him now though, because he just doesn't do anything anymore, does he?
He is on the God kick, and his
But
dad is apparently owes some money.
was his
Is
brother?
in the
Apparently, his brother was the worst one for that. His
yeah.
brother
They
was the main culprit.
I think it was like 3 or 4 million
Yeah,
that they ended up taking from
yeah,
donations. I'm not going to get too into it. I
yeah,
read
yeah,
about it, but it was like,
yeah,
who the hell are we? We're not
yeah.
legal experts.
No,
Although
we don't
e-
understand it.
everybody on the internet is a legal expert when it comes to Vince McMahon right now.
Oh no, yeah. Well, The Miz wins this match. Again, I really like the fact that he won this one. Thought it was well deserved. Elevated him. Um, Nothing wrong with this at all.
No, no. I thought Randy was going to win because I was doing timelines. But the key here is that for the first time in our thumbnail, I had to put somebody else in there. Usually, you and I are just so well done as far as Photoshop goes. But I had to add somebody else into the mix of the Photoshop here. Andy, I'm not sure if you noticed.
No, I didn't
Um,
even notice. You know.
Go take a look at the thumbnail and you let me know. Look right towards the center of that. This is the angry reaction Ms. Girl. I had to put her in there when he cashed in on Randy Orton. So she was added in here. So she made a little special
Brilliant.
appearance. Yeah, somebody caught up and she's actually like they actually posted a picture of her now. I'm like, this is really funny. These people have no idea that they're memes. Good for them. I'm
Good.
probably a meme
Oh
myself.
well. Right, we'll move on to our main event then. We've got Sheamus defeated John Cena in a steel cage match. Good, solid match. I like the ending as well. There was just a few about the ending.
What do you think I think about this?
No, I don't think you'll like it.
I like the match. I like the concept. I've talked about this with you. You have a steel cage to keep everybody out. Just keep it in the ring. I hate the fucking concept. Excuse me, but I hate the concept of you have to leave the cage to win. Let them fight and get the pin in the freaking
Yeah, yeah,
cage.
yeah,
I hate it. It's so stupid because you just it creates such a out as far as winning. But
yeah.
this is another reason. Now I stopped watching. Then all of a sudden I remember tuning in. I swear on my life, this is the first time I tuned into Raw in years. And I said, "What's this?" And I see John Cena in the ring, random Raw, and I see these guys surrounding the ring,
Mm.
dressed in black. And I said, "Okay, what is going on?" They take over the Raw set. They take off the WWF logos, WWE logos. It's a hostile takeover. That isn't what the Mustafa Ali crap did a couple of years ago. What was that? What were the stupid names?
Oh, Retribution.
Yeah, it wasn't Retribution. This was even better because the
Yeah,
crowd had no idea what the hell was going on. And that was the Nexus.
yeah.
Nexus has been causing havoc to everybody, mainly John Cena. Sheamus is the champion at that point. By the way, Sheamus had a rocket strapped to his ass to get him to that
Mm.
title because
Yeah, he
I
did.
feel like he was the champion for. He was in the ring for what, a year, and
Yeah,
credible, and still great work to this day. He's very underappreciated.
massively, massively.
He's got a job, but
Mm-hmm.
he's going to make everybody else look good. I
Mm.
even like what they're doing right now with Pete Dunne, Rich Holland, and him. I think that's a
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
force. I don't
yeah.
have a problem with that. I don't think
No,
anybody.
same here.
I don't think everybody needs to be in a stable, but this is what really pisses me off about this. They had one of the best gimmicks in the world. Okay, and this is a feeder pay per view to go to the mainstream one of SummerSlam, right?
Mm.
So you're still telling stories. We talk about how these cut throughs, because last week we did it with Great American Bash, did it Judgment Day, although Judgment Day
Mm.
really continued something. You want that
Yeah,
rubber match to be solved at SummerSlam, WrestleMania, whatever. Survivor Series, if they care about that anymore.
yeah,
But I will say this. They dropped the ball a month from now with Nexus when John Cena killed and beat them.
mm.
They killed a storyline. They killed one of the greatest things. They killed Wade Barrett's career, who's another massively underrated person
Oh
as
yeah.
far as wrestling goes. Um, I think it was the right call to actually have Sheamus still hold on to the title, though.
Oh, 100%. And I like the way that they done this. One of the things I didn't like was when they were all Ryback. I was just looking right. I hate you. I hate you so much. Anytime I see Ryback, I'm just like, no,
He
don't even want to
sucks.
watch it.
No, no, no. And they used him as that Goldberg S Force, and then people were chanting his name as Goldberg a few years from that because he was
Yeah,
pushed too. I'm glad they knew. There's a reason why the WWE will not put a title on somebody because they know the inner workings here. And
yeah.
that's why you have other places that go, give him a chance. And then they get the chance and they look like Keith Lee.
That's it, mate. But I did like the ending here where they all stop Cena getting out the cage and stuff like that. The other bit that was kind of crazy, and I think I like it, but I don't know whether to do, was when on the other side someone went to get Sheamus and then he kicked, and then Sheamus like come down, jumped off, and jumped over the barrier and got away.
Right. And this is where the race to escape the cage actually does play a good role in it. So I'm not going
Mm,
to shit all over the idea of the cage match where you have to escape as declaring a winner, but I still don't like it. I still don't appreciate it, but it did tell the story here, so it makes sense. But only to listen. This is where John Cena was insufferable. He
mm,
was just rammed down our throats. But looking back 12 years ago, I see a lot of kids wearing the orange. They're wearing the shirts. They're wearing the hats in the crowd. So it only makes sense to have somebody go over all the time. But I don't like the fact that they buried um,
yeah,
a lot of people's careers with this. Good to
yeah,
see Heath Slater, though, because Heath was
yeah,
the
yeah. I
one that
like
ended
Heath.
up getting kicked. Yeah, he was the one that ended up getting kicked by Sheamus. It's just really funny. That's a guy I'd like to
Yeah,
talk to, too.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that was Money in the Bank 2010. Overall, what would you think? What would you say about this pay per view?
I'm gonna probably go with a 4 on this. You know what? I'll
Yeah.
go with the 5. I'll go on. I'll teeter on 5 because I think that knowing what this stuff will lead to later on,
Mm,
um, I didn't like it because I knew that Nexus would get buried. The girls, they call them divas back then. It was just awful to watch. There was a
yeah.
lot there on here. Who I don't even know who the girl was that was with Kelly Kelly. I think they mentioned her name once. I didn't even care because
No.
the wrestling was just so bad by them. Um, I like the fact that they had Mark Henry in the last match or the Money in the Bank because I think they realized like, hey, our truth's in it, but we need somebody that's a big dude to really be a. I
Yeah.
think that's
That's
a
what
good
they've
shove.
always done, haven't they? Throughout all of them, is keep that big dude in there that needs to be there.
They didn't have that prior because our truth was actually
Ah, yeah, he was. Yeah.
he was supposed to be in the match, and I think they realized they called an audible here. These people are
Mm,
smarter than us. We're
yeah.
fans. I don't understand some things that they do, but I think long term they have better plans for it.
Mm,
You know, now if they could only hire Carry and Crossback, but that's another story.
okay. Let me ask you a question. Right.
Yeah,
12 years on, do you see Money in the Bank as a main pay per view now or premium live event?
absolutely not.
Don't you? Interesting.
I absolutely not. Like I said, I'm old school. I honor the main four as I wear an in your house shirt. But um but I really think that it's just oversaturating. And I will say it again, the time of year should not dictate the type of match going on.
Yeah. See, I see the Money in the Bank as the kick off of the new season now. That's how I view it.
I view SummerSlam as that
Ooh,
because
interesting.
they've booked look at the way they've booked SummerSlam. SummerSlam is almost the equivalent of WrestleMania.
Mm.
It's a midway point. You know, think about it. It's a few
Yeah,
months
I
after
just
that.
look at it as WrestleMania. We have it. Then WrestleMania's backlash. We have the fallout from WrestleMania. We're still in them type of feuds. Hell in a Cell's pretty much the same deal. And then we get some Money in the Bank, and it's like, okay, new storylines because people win the cases, and there's a new storyline in that. You know what I mean? That's what I
I
kind of see
agree.
it as the new kickoff for the new season because before then we're still caught up with the WrestleMania backflow or backlash.
Okay, but the money in the bank, all that does is create an asterisk.
Hmm.
So if you look at the history of some pay-per-views, let's look at New Year's Revolution. Okay? Let's look at John Cena winning that elimination chamber match at New Year's Revolution.
Mm.
And then look below that and you're going to see Edge winning. It's an
Mm.
unexpected match on the card, right? That's
Yeah.
an asterisk because it
Mm.
says money in the bank cash in. It adds a layer. You're right. It
Yeah.
adds a story,
Yeah.
but that's it. You tell me, go down the card. What else will create another match down the
No,
road?
yeah, it doesn't really. But I don't know. I just see it as the main kick-off of the year now. It's something will come from it, and at least it's something we're going to start with. You know what I mean?
But that's a okay. I'll go back again. Judgment Day 2004. Okay.
But I'm talking
Eh,
about modern day though, because all these,
I
all these,
know.
it's so segregated between B and A pay-per-views now. Of like, the likes of your Hell in a Cell, your Backlash, your bloody whatever they bloody call it, the TLC, all these ones, yeah. Are like that a B pay per view. You know what you're going to see on it. You know what you're not going to get on it. Money in the Bank feels like you're getting something new, which you don't get on them B plus pay per views.
To counter that point, though, Andy, this is a substitute for actual storytelling.
Well, that's the whole fucking WWE nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why we've
No.
had the Street Profits versus the Usos for 4,398 times.
I know. Right, guys. On that bombshell, then we will. thingy. Just let me put this up. We always have to do it at least once in an episode.
Yeah. Oh, and I'd like to also point out that that was definitely her that took down the AEW botches site, and
Yeah.
actually, I guess she told a couple of lies on there, and
Ah,
she had the strikes on there. So sorry for your terrible, terrible antics.
yeah. I hope
She's
you lose your
awful.
job. Yeah.
She shouldn't be on there. Shouldn't be on TV.
Um,
Andy, it's my turn.
Go on.
All right, and we're also going to point out that next Friday is my birthday. We're not doing anything special as far as a show, but the following Saturday I would hope to record. You'll see us on the weekend. I'm going to pick a special one. Okay, I had two in mind. One, I know you do. Actually, I think you'll appreciate both because we're not gonna try and sandbag each other anymore. And by the way, we have a 10-year rule. I'm not gonna go to 2012. Okay, so I was going to do Great American Bash 1989. Don't oh God me. Don't oh God me. I am instead choosing because I feel like I'm in a giving spirit. We're going to do Canadian Stampede.
Oh, you beauty.
Thank
You
you.
beauty. You
Thank
beauty.
you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
You're welcome.
Right, guys, we'll join us now this same time. Oh, Saturday probably next week. Sorry about the Sunday. We always try and get it over the weekend at some point, but we do get there. Thanks for everyone who's been watching us as well. We've been getting a lot of views recently, and we appreciate all your support. And please do like, subscribe to the channel, share it around your friends, get people involved with us. Let's build this channel up a lot more. But from me and Dale, until next week.
Thank
Peace
you for
out.
watching, folks, and we love you all.